blowing up Israelis in pizza parlors and at weddings, the left's position never changed. Palestinians good, Israel bad, because
it's a lot easier if you just look at it through this lens. Colonizers, bad. Imperialism, bad. And then that can be your compass and how you guide yourself from that point forward. Very simple. People keep emailing me this PragerU clip and saying you have to watch
that any TV show in 10 minutes is going to come close to solving Israel-Palestine. Instead, let's look at who's dead and who's alive this week. I cannot watch that footage and hear those numbers and see a fair fight.
See, I mean, I guess this is the bravest lib take you can really do before going a little too far, especially in entertainment, and getting blacklisted or Jeremy Corbyn or something like that for, you know, criticism of the Israeli government. You can't really say things like it's apartheid or this is inhumane or barbaric practices, stuff like that.
Israel has one of the most powerful militaries in the world.
instead of evaluating
Oh, God. You made this video. You have millions of dollars. Why would you do that?
people and nations on the basis of right and wrong or good and evil, the left evaluates them on the basis of weak and strong. If you're weak, you're good. If you're strong, you're bad. Israel is strong, therefore it is bad. America is strong, therefore it is bad.
That's just utterly absurd. I think you're confusing this with we don't believe that might makes right, as in you as a country do not have a right to suddenly invade a foreign territory and take it over as your own. You know, colonize it, imperialism, that shit. Yeah, we're not for that. It's not about who has the bigger guns or more guns.
Palestinians are regarded as weak, therefore they're good. When you're guided by a moral compass, you don't ask who's strong and who's weak.
I think what's interesting here is you could say the inverse is true about the morality of the actual plight of these people. In one case, it would be considered, I don't know, weak to bomb and shell civilian targets and basically kill women and children, non-combatants, and do so with the lie that you are trying to clear out terrorist organizations in every single civilian target that you take down. And then in the other respect, I would say it's quite strong to stay resilient in the face of that overwhelming fire and horror and bloodshed.
You ask who's morally right and who's morally wrong. 50 years ago, Israel was not a big issue for the left. Why? Because it was perceived as weak. But after the 1967 Six-Day War, in which Israel achieved a stunning military victory, it all changed. Israel became strong, so Israel became bad. And the Palestinians were weak, so they became good. So no
I guess if you do look at the world through the lens of might makes right, then this kind of rhetoric and strawmanning of the left's position would make sense to you. I mean, everyone else is kind of like, this is just children's stuff. Like, what are you doing?
No matter how much terror Palestinians engaged in, hijacking airplanes, murdering 11 Israeli athletes and coaches at the 19...
Do you think leftists celebrate these actions? Do you think they're like, oh yeah, that was the best thing that ever happened?
1972 Munich Olympics, blowing up Israelis in pizza parlors and at weddings, the left's position never changed. Palestinians good, Israel bad, because
it's a lot easier if you just look at it through this lens. Colonizers, bad. Imperialism, bad. And then that can be your compass and how you guide yourself from that point forward. Very simple.
the Palestinians were weak.
New introduction says, I love your JP Kerman impression. Oh, well, thank you. I spend every day crying in front of the mirror and honing it and practicing because I don't find it'll truly come out unless I've got tears in my eyes.
And Israel was strong. That's one of the three ways the left judges the world. You can test this theory in other ways. Why is the United States bad? Because it's strong. And third world countries that oppose the...
You're too muscular, you United States. You're a fucking swollen bicep. I can't help but feel a little horny, but at the same time, bad. Bad.
United States are good. Cuba, for example, has been adored by the left for decades. Never mind that Cuba's Communist Party has ruined Cuba, that Cubans have no civil rights.
America is the one that's ruining Cuba. Drop the sanctions. Like, you fucking, the same thing with Venezuela. It's like, look at Venezuela. Or, sorry, it would be like, look at Venezuela. They are eating rats. Literal rats. And then it's like, are you sanctioning them to such degree that they don't have access to a lot of things that could actually be helping their situation? Are they blocked off from international trade? Have you made a stipulation that countries must choose whether or not they want to do business with Venezuela or with America? I know a lot of countries that would rather have the purchasing power of the US versus Venezuela. So yeah, you really blocked them off.
North Vietnam in the 1960s, it was considered weak, so it was good. The US was strong, so it was bad. It didn't.
Wait, no one on the left supports, like, maybe, I guess, the, like, authoritarian fakies or whatever, but no one on the left supports, like, a monarchy, a monarchistic dictatorship, which is what North Korea is.
Matter that America was trying to preserve the freedom of the South Vietnamese exactly as it had preserved the freedom.
By what? Bombing them into the Stone Age? Jesus Christ, how many people had to die before you realized you made a big-ass mistake there?
Freedom of the South Koreans. The U.S. was strong, so it was bad. Which brings us back to Israel. The stronger Israel gets, as it effectively defends itself, as its economy grows, and as its diplomatic position improves.
So by this logic, does everyone on the left adore China because they're the fastest growing economy and have one of the fastest growing and biggest military expenditures? Nowhere close to the United States, by the way. No one comes close, but is that just a default? It's like, well, we have to hate them or like them now. It just depends on whether or not they're strong or weak.
The more the left hates it.
Man, PragerU sucks. They have been on a huge Israel theme lately. Israel uses rockets to defend its people. Hamas uses people to defend its rockets. Israel's first responsibility is to protect its own civilians. Is music a gift from God?
How do you relate the feeling of awe at aesthetic experiences with your understanding of the divine? Well, since you confine it to aesthetic experiences, I really am happy about that, because it would have been a very broad question. So I will tell you that some music, without question, makes me feel the divine. As many of you know, I'm very deeply into classical music. I conduct orchestras periodically.
Why does he say it like that? Some music makes me feel the divine. Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form, available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback, because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Juste, we shall spend many a generations building mighty cathedrals in your honor. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your oafish jesters, here to offer you a laugh at any opportunity. To our brave knights of the Round Table, Rachel K., Izzy Solidarity, Victoria Bell, Sebastian Demo, Mark Harmon, Benji Arney, Scary Earth Human, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood, Everything Important, Hegbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Doug Cady, Daniel Sutton, Jenna Tao, Dark Puppy, Quiet One 85, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, Multimondi, Trevbot EXE, Brian Ephraim, Anthropophojack, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Ralph Parler, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Todd Buckingham, and Todd La Jeunesse. We salute our valiant heroes off to fight injustice everywhere.